Hold on, did AI just replace realtors? I just generated an AI real estate market report to audio. While the voice quality is insanely realistic, there are some gaping holes only a human can spot. Let's dive in and see where this technology shines and where it completely misses what's really happening on the ground. Alright, let's talk AI and real estate. Because these days, it feels like artificial intelligence is everywhere. So I have used Google's NotebookLM, the language model, which uses an AI to power its note-taking and research features. Unlike regular note apps, it can actually understand your uploaded documents, helping you summarize info, answers questions, and even generate ideas based on your notes. So the actual process took less than a few minutes and the results are mind-blowing. The voice sounds crazy realistic and the data looks slick. But here's the thing. Does it actually understand what's happening in neighborhoods or is it just repackaging numbers? So let's see what the AI got right and where it's totally missed the mark.
Imagine having, like, a super smart friend who just wades through piles of info for you, pulls out those key things you need to know, without all the noise. That's pretty much what we're doing in this deep dive. Today, we're really digging into the Greater Toronto Area housing market, the GTA. And our mission really is just to unpack what's actually happening, going beyond the headlines, finding those surprising details, the key economic signs, sales trends, property types, all the stuff that actually matters to you right now. So let's kick things off. What's the general feeling, the overall sentiment in the GTA housing market right now?
Well, what's really striking, I think, is that the report says ownership housing affordability actually kept improving in June. We're seeing average selling prices and also borrowing costs staying lower than they were last year, which is, a positive sign.
Okay, that sounds good. Lower prices, lower costs. But the report also says a lot of potential buyers are still kind of sitting on the fence. If things are getting better, why the hesitation? What's holding them back?
That's a really good question, and it points straight to economic uncertainty. TRE President Alikia Berry-Sproul mentioned this. She said, look, the market is showing signs of recovery. You've got more listings, so buyers can negotiate a bit more, maybe get discounts, and borrowing costs are lower, making home ownership, more attainable. But this background hum of economic uncertainty is still a big factor. Her quote was, combined with lower borrowing costs compared to a year ago, homeownership is becoming a more attainable goal for many households in 2025. So the pieces are there, but maybe the overall confidence isn't fully back yet.
Right. So it's not just about the numbers on the page. It's about how people feel about the future. And didn't TRE's Chief Information Officer, Jason Mercer, suggest some specific things that could help boost that confidence?
Yeah, he did. Connecting it to the bigger picture, Mercer pointed out that a solid trade deal with the U.S. would really help. Getting rid of that cross-border saber rattling, as he put it, that would ease concerns about the economy, boost consumer confidence. He also mentioned maybe 2 more interest rate cuts from the Bank of Canada. That could make monthly mortgage payments feel a bit more manageable for the average GTA household, which in turn would likely strengthen the market's momentum and help support prices. It really shows how these big external factors like trade and monetary policy play a direct role.
Okay, so that's the sentiment, the sort of forward-looking stuff. What about the hard numbers? What are the economic indicators from StatsCan and the Bank of Canada telling us about the environment back in June?
Right, we've got some really interesting figures here. Inflation, the year-over-year CPI growth, the report shows -6.09%, and it lists that for the 1-year, 3-year, and 5-year periods. Now, that's a very unusual number for Canada. It suggests significant deflation, or at least a massive drop in inflation. We have to mention it's in the source, but it's definitely an outlier.
-6%. Wow. Okay. What else?
Real GDP growth for Q1 2025, quarter-over-quarter annualized, was 2.2%, so some modest expansion there. Toronto's employment growth was pretty strong, actually. Year-over-year for May 2025, it was up 8.8%, and the Toronto unemployment rate, seasonally adjusted, was 1.7% in May, then ticked up to 2.8% in June. Still pretty low. The Bank of Canada's overnight rate was sitting at 5.0% in June, and the prime rate was 7.2%.
And then there's this mortgage rate figure. This one really made me pause. The report lists June 2025 mortgage rates at 30.8%. That seems astronomical compared to typical Canadian mortgage rates. Can you help make sense of that? Is that some special rate or maybe just a typo?
That's a really critical point to flag. Yes, the report does state 30.8%. And you're right, a rate like that for a standard mortgage in Canada is, well, it's basically unheard of. It is highly, highly likely that this is a typo in the source document. Maybe it was meant to be 3.08% or possibly 3.8%. Even for, say, a very high-risk, niche kind of loan, 30.8% would be extreme. So we're reporting it exactly as it appears in the TREB source, but definitely with a huge asterisk. It's an anomalous figure. If it were accurate for typical mortgages, affordability would be completely different. It just goes to show you always need to look critically at the data, even from good sources.
Yeah, that's a crucial clarification, thanks. It really shows why digging into the details matters, doesn't it? Okay, so we've got the economic backdrop, including that unusual mortgage rate figure. Let's zoom in now on the actual market activity. What are the sales and listing numbers telling us?
So GTA Realtors reported 6,243 home sales through the MLS. Just for context, the MLS is that main database agency, so it's our best snapshot of activity. That number, 6,243 sales, is actually down a little bit.
Okay, down slightly year over year. What about listings? People putting their homes up for sale.
That's where we see a jump. New listings were 19,839. That's up 7.7%. So more homes coming onto the market. And active listings, the total number of homes available first at that point were 24,169 in June 25. That's actually down from 31,603 the year before, interestingly.
Fewer sales, more new listings year over year, but fewer active listings overall compared to 24.
Well, on a seasonally adjusted basis, smoothing out those regular seasonal bumps, but new listings went down. So you had more sales happening relative to new inventory coming on board that month. The report calls this a continuation of a tightening trend from the spring. It suggests maybe buyers became a bit more active moving into summer, while fewer sellers listed compared to the peak spring months.
Okay, so a bit tighter month over month. What did all this do to prices, especially with more new listings overall year over year?
Right. The average selling price across the whole GTA was $11,101,691. That's down 5.4% compared to June 2024, when it was over $1.16 million. And the MLS Home Price Index, the HPI benchmark, which is often seen as a more stable measure because it adjusts for the types of homes sold.
Right, the apples-to-apples comparison.
Exactly. That HPI benchmark was also down by 5.5% year over year. The benchmark price itself was $995,100. So both the average and the HPI show prices easing compared to the previous year. And month over month, seasonally adjusted, both the average price and the HPI also edged down slightly.
So generally softer prices year over year and a little bit month over month too. How does this break down by home type? Are we seeing bigger shifts in detached houses versus condos, for instance?
Yeah, there are definitely differences. Let's look at the year over year changes. Detached homes, sales were down 2.6%. The average price was about $1.39 million, down 4.9%. Semi-detached, sales fell a bit more, down 6.4%. Average price around $1.09 million, down 6.9%. Townhouses, sales down 5.7%. Average price just under $966,000, down 6.0%. And then condo apartments, they saw the biggest drop in sales, down 13.0% year over year. Their average price was about $696,000, down 6.5%.
Wow, 13% drop in condo sales. That's quite significant.
It really is. Condos are often that first step onto the property ladder for many buyers, right? Seeing the largest sales decline there might suggest that even that relatively more affordable segment is facing real pressure. Maybe that economic uncertainty we talked about is hitting first-time buyers particularly hard.
That makes sense. And price-wise, where was most of the action happening? Which price bracket saw the most sales?
It's interesting. The report points out that almost half of all sales, 48.2%, which was just over 3,000 homes, were in the $1 million to $1.25 million range across all home types. So a lot of activity concentrated in that sort of middle to upper middle price bands.
Okay. And lastly, you mentioned something earlier. The report touches on an issue that goes beyond just the economics, something more personal.
Yes, absolutely. TREB's CEO, John DiMichele, brought up a really important and frankly quite sobering point. He stated that housing isn't just about finance. He said, Canadian residents, both homeowners and renters alike, are increasingly having to deal with the nightmare of violent home invasions and carjackings. He noted TRE was encouraged by a recent federal crime bill aiming for stricter bail and sentencing for these types of crimes. But he stressed that more is needed, things like more funding for law enforcement, better capacity in the courts. It's a stark reminder, isn't it, that feelings of personal safety, concerns about crime, they're absolutely intertwined with the housing market and where people feel comfortable living.
Definitely a powerful point to end on, connecting housing to community safety. So just to recap, it looks like a complex mix. We've got improving affordability, lower costs compared to last year, which is good, but still this persistent economic uncertainty holding things back a bit. Sales down slightly overall year over year, but new listings up. Prices generally easing across the board, with condos seeing the biggest dip in sales activity.
Right, and we highlighted some really notable details from the source. That consistent negative CPI figure, that really surprising, likely anomalous 30.8% mortgage rate number, and that crucial though unexpected link drawn between public safety concerns, home invasions, carjackings, and the housing market itself.
It really messed up with the mortgage rates. That the interest rates are 30% plus. If it is, then there'll be lights on the streets. So definitely it's not. That's a relief. So what do you think? Look, AI is book smart, but it's not street smart. Sure, it can crunch numbers all day, but residential real estate, that's hard over spreadsheets territory. We are talking this kitchen just feels like home emotional. Trust me, the streets, the next hotspot listings, the real magic, it's in the details. No algorithm can track. The block by block vibes, the off-market whispers, the you had to be there insights that turn a house into a home. And that's where a real human pro makes all the difference. What's the final word? So the finesse, delivery, quality, and efficiency definitely points to one direction. Realtors will be losing their jobs. Two realtors who use AI. The ones leveraging it to give their clients faster, smarter, and next-level service. The game's changing, level up or lose out. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.